All right, this is one more video on another aspect in which Plato's philosophy is dualistic. We talked about how Christianity roots itself metaphysically in Platonism, in terms of there being a transcendent realm of perfect forms, and this created world being a copy, shadow, or contingent reflection of the non-contingent, contingent reflection of the permanency and uncaused uncreatedness of this perfect ideal realm. However, Plato would have gone further. He saw the soul as being intrinsically immortal. And, for the Christian, we become immortal by grace. For Plato, the soul was intrinsically immortal, and the soul belonged to the realm of ideas. The body, therefore, was a shadow of the soul. So he created a separation even within the person, but within the individual person, within the soul and the body. If you recall, I've discussed it a little bit already in this series. I discussed it in the last series I did, the last short series I did on the goddess, where I critiqued, first I critiqued the Trinity, the position that the Spirit, that the Holy Spirit is a third person in the Trinity. I did that by noting that a spirit is never a person. A spirit is an essential component of a person, but it is only one of two essential components of a person. In other words, a spirit alone doesn't make up the totality of a person. It requires a body as well. So the spirit and the body together constitutes the person, whether we're talking about God or a human individual. And so the Holy Spirit could not be a third person. And we talked about how that same criticism applies to Mormonism, because they believe that the Holy Spirit, is a third person within their Trinity as well. And we talked about how Mormonism was also false because it believes in the pre-existence of the soul prior to taking on a body. And so our criticism there would also apply to Plato, who thinks that there is an ideal realm in which the soul is intrinsically immortal, and it is shadowed by a body which is intrinsically corruptible and mortal. All right, so that is the basic criticism I wanted to make there. Just to point out that he also held that additional perspective. There was something else I thought I wanted to add to that. Maybe not, but I'll just close out by saying, again, this is related to what we said about immortality. That immortality for us is something that's derivative. We're not intrinsically immortal because we don't belong to this fantastical realm of uncreated ideas, which is just really a positing of polytheism. To say that there are other things that are uncaused and eternal alongside God, even if we say that they derive from God, that they come forth from Him, well, if that's what we're saying, that they couldn't be uncaused, if they were uncaused, then they wouldn't derive from anything, just as God is uncaused and therefore doesn't derive from anything else. So yes, if we were to believe that we are intrinsically immortal, we would really have to hold to Plato's idea that the soul exists in a realm of uncaused, perfect ideas or forms. But again, this is positing two realms, a created one and an uncreated one, and claiming that they are, one is the emanation of the other, which is impossible because of this vast chasm that exists between the uncreated and the created. And then I explained how that chasm is bridged in the last video, where I talked about how God neither emanates creation, nor does he create it out of nothing as posited by the Christian view, but rather we discussed the analogy of like water, right? This vast body of water that is perfectly calm. There's no ripples in it, no waves, no nothing. But then God comes and he separates out. You know, he through his activity, he generates difference within this vast infinity, within this field of energy, if you will, or within this ether, or field of consciousness. He then he initiates these various scissions within the ether, so without himself becoming finite, he is separating out localized instances of finitude within himself. All right, so I'm not going to take it much further than that, but just kind of summarizing a couple of things that I've already discussed to show again how it relates to this new criticism I have for Plato in terms of how he divides the human person. Okay, so there's going to be at least one more, but that'll do it for this video, and I'll go ahead and upload it now.